little jacks-in-boxes. Billy made such a noise under the oak when the bird was feeding the youngsters that I took him away where he could not disturb the family, and tied him to an oak covered with poison ivy, for he was especially fond of eating it, and the poison did not affect him. Before the old hummer flew off, she picked up a tiny white feather that she had found in the nest and wound it around a twig. On her return, in the midst of her feeding, she darted down and set the feather flying, but as it got away from her, she caught it again. The performance was repeated the next time she came with food, but she did it all so solemnly I could not tell whether she were playing or trying to get rid of something that annoyed her. She fed at the long intervals that are so trying to an observer, for if you are going to sit for hours with your eyes glued to a nest, it really is pleasant to have something happen once in a while. Though the mother bird did not go to the nest often, she sometimes flew by, and once the sound of her wings roused the young, and they called out to her as she passed. When they were awake, it was amusing to see the little midgets stick out their long thread-like tongues, preen their pin feathers, and stretch their wings over the nest. One fine morning when I went to the oak, I heard a faint squeak, and saw something fluttering up in the tree. When the mother came, she buzzed about as though not liking the looks of things, for her children were out of the nest, and behold, a horse and rider were under the tree. She tried to coax the unruly nestlings to follow her into the upper stories, but they would not go. Although not ready to be led, one of the infants soon felt that it would be nice to go alone. When a bird first leaves the nest, it goes about very gingerly, but this little fellow now began to feel his strength and the excitement of his freedom. He wiped his tongue on a branch, and then, to my astonishment, his wings began to whirl as if he were getting up steam, and presently they lifted him from his twig, and he went whirring off as softly as a hummingbird moth among the oak sprays. His nerves were evidently on edge, for he looked around at the sound of falling leaves, started when Billy sneezed, and turned from side to side very apprehensively, in spite of his out-in-the-world big boy airs. He may have felt hampered by his unused wings, for as he sat there waiting for his mother to come, he stroked them out with his bill to get them in better working order. That done, he leaned over, rounded his shoulders, and pecked at a leaf as if he were as much grown up as anybody. Of all the beautiful hummingbirds' nests I saw in California, 3 are particularly noteworthy because of their positions. One cup was set down on what looked like an inverted saucer, in the form of a dark green oak leaf wound with cobweb. That was in the oak beside the ranch house. Another one was on a branch of eucalyptus, set between 2 leaves like the knot in a bow of stiff ribbon. To my great satisfaction, the photographer was able to induce the bird to have a sitting while she brooded her eggs. The third nest, I imagined, belonged to the bird who took up her floor because Billy and I looked at her. If she were, her fate was certainly hard, for her eggs were taken by someone, boy or beast. Her nest was most skillfully supported. It was fastened like the seat of a swing between 2 twigs no larger than knitting needles, at the end of a long drooping branch. It was a unique pleasure to see the tiny bird sit in her swing and be blown by the wind. Sometimes she went circling about as though riding in a merry-go-round, and at others the wind blew so hard her round boat rose and fell like a little ship at sea. End of chapter 12.